Saying, welcome to Plugged In Chatham-Kent. I'm Andrew. I work in economic development, communications, and with me today is Heather Galt.
Yes.
Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Marketing expert, growth coach and mentor for startups and scale-ups, board chair of the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony, been on multiple podcasts including Startup Canada, Communitech Marketing. You are out there training and doing all kinds of very live, wild events. What else do you do that I missed?
I think that's a pretty good coverage. You also missed that I teach.
Oh, you teach?
I do.
Yes.
I teach at Conestoga College, used to teach at Laurier. And I'm the head of marketing at a startup in Kitchener-Waterloo.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
So, there you go.
I
think you got
marketing expert.
You did.
The touches on it, but you can be specific. Okay. So.
Well, I think it's also relevant to say that the startup I work in KW works in the food space, which is a really good alignment to a lot of the companies down in this area.
Not that I was creeping or anything, but I did totally do my research on this part. So I was curious because in one of the podcasts you recorded, you were talking about the reason for choosing the food space.
Right.
So tell me about that, because pretend I didn't hear it. Actually, pretend everybody watching.
I'm like, what answer did I give last time? I should talk. So you mean for me choosing the food space? Yeah. So for me, it was a couple things. One is I love food. And I don't just love to eat it and cook it. I'm also really interested in it. So how it's grown, how it's produced, just so living in farm country as we do outside of KW. Yeah. I see it up close. I see it live. We live with a whole lot of Mennonites, so I see really old-fashioned growing practices. Mm-hmm. But it's just interesting to me to kind of understand from farm to table what happens to our food. And I make buying decisions based on how much I can understand about the food I'm eating. So that was really exciting for me. The other side of it was I've always worked in tech. So I've had almost 30 years in the tech space, a whole bunch of really high-tech kind of stuff. Food is pretty traditionally low tech. And you talk to them about SaaS and they don't know what the acronym means. So it was kind of interesting for me to have an opportunity to tackle a different industry, and one where I was going to be starting kind of from scratch.
This is why you're in Chatham, because of food and tech.
Totally.
It's kind of what we're known
alignment.
For now.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read off something I found really interesting about you, by the way. This is a brag session at the moment.
Oh, God.
So this is just a brag session.
I'll try not to blush.
Your Strengths Finder top strengths say activator, Eric.
Oh, there's a ranger.
A ranger,
yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't read. Words are hard.
I know. It's the Friday before the holidays. Everything is hard.
Everything's hard. Achiever, learner, belief,
yes.
And you love to make stuff happen.
I
what
do.
Kind of stuff do you love to make happen?
Oh, anything. You ask my husband at home, and he's like, "Can you stop?" And I mean, if like we talked about a few minutes ago, I do a lot of things. I have fingers on a lot of pies, and I really love that. That's kind of how I keep energized, and how I learn is by having a whole bunch of things going on at one time. And I'm constantly excited when the things I'm doing overlap. So the craziest connections happen between a company I'm working with and something I'm doing at the Symphony. So super high tech and super not tech. But I'm like, oh, it's really cool when that stuff happens. So I love having lots of places where things are, I have a finger in it and things are happening, and then I can see the overlaps.
I get it. You give me goosebumps. Okay.
That's really cool.
So tell me about Communitech.
Communitech.
Yes.
See? Words are hard.
I even said it. So for the record, I said it correctly before. Before we started recording.
Yes, you did.
Communitech. Oh man, I'm on.
It happens all the time.
Communitech. Tell me about Communitech.
Sure. So Communitech's been around for about 21 years.
Okay.
Started by a group of entrepreneurs in KW. Okay. And the idea behind it was entrepreneurs are very isolated, lonely people, right? If you're the CEO of a startup, it is a very lonely place to be. And there are very few people who understand that life. Mm-hmm. And so it was almost like a support group. They got together. And part of it was just, it's okay, and we're all doing the same stuff, and it really is hard for all of us. But part of it was also sharing best practices.
Yes.
And so that's kind of the foundation of what Communitech does, is really helping entrepreneurs and early stage, and now starting to get into more later stage, like scaling companies, but doing things to help them build connections to each other, learn from each other, and grow.
That's awesome. That's kind of why you're here at SOAR
today.
Yes. Because they're trying to make a space for people who are sort of working in their basements or in their garages or in their wherevers, alone, isolated. And so,
And they're all trying to figure out, a certain amount of the same stuff.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you have some people who can help them get through that process, and if they can help each other get through that process, it's amazing.
So I've read that you're working with upwards of 1,000 companies. Is that?
Communitech does, that's
Communitech.
right. So actually about 1,500 companies. Yeah. And everything from super early stage, person in their basement, to enterprises. So Communitech has partnerships with companies like Wawanesa, TD Bank, some of the government organizations at the federal, provincial, and local levels. So it's pretty cool to see. And part of what they do is try and create those connections between the really early stage and the corporate. Which is crazy, right? You think about somebody in a startup and trying to get them to talk to someone in the government.
Yep.
So there's a lot of work done on both sides to educate them.
It can be terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For both sides.
For both sides.
Especially, actually, the government people. Because, things don't happen as fast in government as they do in a startup. I know. Isn't that shocking? Andrew, I'm sorry. Shouldn't have let that secret out of the bag. And especially when you talk federal and provincial, right? They move at a different pace.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of partnerships and all those things,
Yes.
we both work with WeTech Alliance.
Yes.
How did you start working with WeTech Alliance? How did that come about?
I actually got introduced by Communitech.
Okay.
So Communitech, I don't know if you know this or not. So Communitech is one of the supporting hubs that helps connect all the other tech hubs across the country. So WeTech, SOAR, Invest Ottawa, Mars in Toronto, BC Tech. There's a whole bunch of different organizations that help support startups and scale-ups in tech. So Communitech is one of the organizations that helps coordinate them and sort of pull them together. There's an organization called CDMN that is that unifying kind of connection between all of them. And CDMN is based in Communitech.
Gotcha.
So because of that relationship, I think Adam from WeTech had reached out to someone at Communitech and said, I need some help with marketing and product management, product marketing, and can you find somebody? And I was it.
It is a huge need around here.
It's a huge need everywhere. Yeah.
Not to say that we don't have fantastic marketing and communication companies in the area, but the startup sector is a little different. It's a very unique situation.
Yeah.
So, how are you planning? So you're here today. What are you here today for? Aside from being on my awesome podcast.
Just you.
Just me. Just like, I'm going to drive down. No. I'm totally stealing your time right now. So what was your main thing? What were you here for today?
So I come here once a month and I spend time with a variety of different companies. So right now I have 3 or 4 that I'm working with here and another 4 or 5 that I'm working with in Windsor.
Perfect.
We sit down and talk about, in a lot of cases, it's their overall business first, because you can't understand marketing until you actually understand their business. And then we often end up talking about customers. So a lot of the work I do, especially with early stage companies, is help them understand not just the product, because they're all experts in whatever their product is, but understand who's going to buy it.
But everybody's going to buy all my products.
Of course they are.
That's a very important lesson for people, and
hugely important.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So we spend a lot of time on that, and it's not natural behavior for a lot of founders, right? Because they, like I said, they're experts in their product. They know that space so well, but they don't think about what's driving the people who want to buy my stuff.
Sure.
And how do I talk to them in a way that might make them interested?
Absolutely. Okay. And so I was going to leave it till the end. I'm going to ask you now. If people if there's businesses out there who are interested in, say, being a part of this type of thing, how would they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
So easiest way is probably by email, but they can also go through Adam Castle at WeTech or through Guarav here at SOAR. So they all have my contact information, but I'll just read it out if that's okay.
Go for it.
It's just Galt, which is GALT.Heather, spelled like a normal way. So HEATHER @gmail.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn.
And I'll put it in the show notes. If that's all right?
Yep, that's totally fine. Okay. Please go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say that to the end, but we're here. We're at a
natural place.
It just makes sense.
Go for the flow.
And plus, people can email you right now.
Oh my God!
Give me a flight.
Are we live?
No, it's not live. No. I have to, in case of, I work with some wonderful people in economic development, but in case if they start to swear, I got to edit that out. You know who you are, Anthony. You know who you are.
It's usually me too, so don't worry.
Yeah. So, how are you helping businesses scale up? How do you help them scale up? Because the term scale up it can be almost intimidating. How are you helping people do that? How are you helping businesses?
for me, it's always about establishing the groundwork from wherever you are. So I work with companies that are in their garage or in their living room and, super early stage, just have an idea. And we can lay some really good groundwork then to help them in the later stages. But some of the things you do when you're a really early stage company, they don't scale. And so the other thing I sometimes spend time with companies on is don't worry about what's coming down the road, because there's so many steps between where you are and all of those problems. And actually, I think it was Ben Horowitz said, do things that don't scale. So in that early stage, you need to do things that you won't do later. Like the CEO or the founder is always the salesperson for a long time. That doesn't scale, right? But if the CEO or the founder isn't the salesperson, it's very hard for them to build their business.
Sure.
Right? Because they aren't going to understand the customer. They're not going to be able to figure out the match between product and market. And they're also not going to be able to train anybody else to sell. So they have to do that for a little while. Uncomfortable though it is for a lot of them. Right? So doing those things that don't scale in the early stage is a big part of that first phase. And then there are things you start to do to, build a little bit of structure. And I don't like process particularly, but you need a little bit. So, when you're sort of in that middle stage, you start to put a little bit of frame in place because you have more people. And so the things you used to always do yourself, now someone else needs to do it. And then as you get bigger, now not only is someone else doing it, but you probably don't even know what they're doing every day. And I've been through that, like single digit employees through to multiple hundreds of employees a couple of times. And it's really interesting to watch how everybody's role evolves, but especially the founder's role. And so one of the other things I work with companies on as they scale is helping the founder go from founder to CEO. So it's a very big change and not one a lot of them articulate well.
I had a discussion a little while ago about a company that went from 15 employees to 50, and then they went from 50 to 300.
Right.
And they said, the changes we didn't see. We thought 15 to 50 was a huge thing. And we thought, 300 is going to be a cinch. It won't be a problem at all.
It's huge.
The changes they didn't see.
And
the CEO's role drastically altered.
And so does everybody else's.
So does everybody else. They actually have an HR person.
That's right.
Because it was just a thing that was done off the side. When you have 15 people, even 50, you can sort of kind of fudge it a little bit.
You can get away with it.
Not with 300.
Nope. Absolutely. And everybody else's role narrows too. I remember one of the startups that I was in, actually, the first marketing person. She was amazing. She was so good at her job. And she had been the person who wore all the marketing hats. So PR, comms, product marketing, everything, all the pieces, channels, events, whatever it was, she did it all. And she loved it. And she was great at it. And as we started adding people to the team, her role got smaller and deeper, right? So narrower and deeper. So she became focused on one particular part of marketing, and she hated it because she was used to being the one who owned it all, right? And it's hard. Part of that growth process is giving stuff up. And that doesn't matter whether you're the founder, the dev, the head of marketing, the head of HR, it doesn't matter. You are always going to be, as you grow, giving stuff to other people because that's the only way you can scale.
Or you're Elon Musk and you can just simply do it all because you have enough money.
Sure. Except from what I understand, he has an enormous team.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yeah.
Including you can sort my silverware and you can, wash my towels, and that's your only job.
Yeah. That is very fair. One of the things I read that I loved is that you said, I told you.
I know. You're like, wow, you've been really researching.
I did. Canadians need to have the courage to recognize our value and to scale our businesses. And the word courage. So do you want to touch on that courage part? Because that's, to me, the rest of it we've sort of chatted about, but that courage piece is huge. So what does that mean to you?
So part of it is that giving up thing that we talked about, right? And I think probably the bigger part of it is as you start to scale, everything gets scary. Right? Like, it's really scary when you're starting a company because you're taking an enormous amount of risk, right? And as that company grows, everything, believe it or not, gets more scary, right? And so the risks get bigger, the rewards also get bigger, but you have to let more stuff go. And as you grow, it's just like, whoa, like, how is this happening? And the number of founders I've sat with who are kind of like, holy crap, because it's a scary process. And so some of the founders that I work with end up actually holding themselves back. And they don't think big enough. They don't think, expansion. They don't think taking more risks. They, kind of manage their business very tightly, which means they're holding their growth back, right? So part of being, and I think part of being Canadian is we are a little bit more cautious, right? And we are a little more thoughtful, which is smart. We need to be thoughtful. Right. And I think when we do succeed and we do scale, we tend to do it with a little bit stronger foundation than some of the other countries might create. But we also don't have the number of big, incredible scale-up stories that other countries do.
Or they've left Canada.
Yes. But there's another example, right? So I'm a $5 million or $10 million a year company, and someone from the US comes in and offers me a buyout. Canadian companies will take it, as opposed to saying, no, you know what? I can grow to, I can be a $100 million company here in Canada, and I don't need your money, and I'm going to grow it myself. Yeah. They say, oh, that's great. Somebody wants to take my IP, and they buy it. So I would like to see more companies scale in Canada.
And we want to see them start here in Chatham-Kent.
Yes.
Totally biased on that one.
And the thing I love about working in multiple areas is seeing the different kinds of companies that are emerging. So the companies in Windsor are different than the ones here, are different than the ones in KW, different from the ones in Toronto, and we need them all.
Absolutely.
All of them.
And part of our philosophy in economic development is if there's a business that's doing really well in Windsor and we want to help them as well. We want to help them in what needs to be helped. We want to work with the Windsor Economic Development. So if they come along and say, you know what, we really need a tie-in with the University of in Ridgetown. Let's connect you, because it's competitive, but it needs to be friendly competitive.
Totally.
So that we can all win.
And you know what, Waterloo works that way too. It's co-opetition, right? We all help each other. You have to.
You have to.
Especially in Canada. There's not enough of us to not do that.
Exactly. Okay. So you talk about building tribes in business.
Yep.
Okay. One of the fun things, just so you're aware, we have a thing called League of Business. We started this year.
That's awesome.
And they're events designed really networking.
Okay.
Because everybody comes along and says after an event, I really wish we had more networking. And then you say, what do you mean by that? And they go, well, I don't know. Okay. What they really mean, and I pinned it down for us, is they mean give me facilitated networking where I am forced to talk to people because otherwise I'm going to sit in the corner and not talk to anybody.
And drink my whatever I have.
I have.
Because everybody doesn't enjoy random networking.
That's it. Yeah. So we have League of Business. We force people into networking.
That's awesome.
What are your thoughts around building tribes and building that sort of thing?
Well, I think I talked about it earlier. Like, that's what Communitech was based on, right? Is that tribe of we are people who are at a similar stage and dealing with similar stuff, and we need to learn from each other. Yeah. And a lot of the programs actually that Communitech runs do exactly the same thing. And I think you can't survive, whether you're a startup or a human being in another context, you can't survive without a community around you. Yeah. And, as a parent, that tribe is another place where so I go for sanity and I go for help and I go for sanity. So
we have a title for the podcast. I go for sanity.
Exactly. We all need to go for sanity, but you need that community of people around you that really get it.
Yeah. And
if you don't have it, it's a very, very lonely place to be.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm reading through my notes on this one. Okay, so one of my favorite things when I was researching things, is you said this, I'm going to quote you again. Marketing is telling a company's story one to many. That's what marketing is.
Yes.
Sales is telling it one to one. I love that. I love it. I think that should be a t-shirt.
I think that's going to be my new title on my LinkedIn page.
It should be, right? Here's what marketing is. People say, well, what's marketing? Marketing is telling the story to lots of people.
Yep.
And sales is doing the one-to-one.
Yep.
And here's where I'll flip it a little bit. You said that in 2015.
Yep.
Okay. Is it still true, given social media and how things have sort of turned into 24/7, always on? Is it still true?
So, yes, I think it is still true. And I'm going to extend it, though.
Okay.
Because part of marketing's job, especially now in 2019, is to be able to tell it one to many. but make it feel like it's one-to-one.
Ooh, profound. This is why I asked.
and we have lots of tools now that can let us do that.
Yes.
And so whether you're at the top of the funnel and it's, an awareness activity of, hey, did you know we have a thing? Or it's a, post-purchase conversation of, how did you find that? Or anywhere in between, marketing and sales need to work together. And they need to be cohesive. Right? And when I build the story as a marketer to get somebody into the funnel and keep them moving through the funnel, it needs to feel like I get it. I understand them. I know how they feel. I know what they need. And I'm here to help them.
Okay.
Right? So that is
everybody about marketing. That right there. That's it.
That's it.
It's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
But that's it.
Okay. Big question time because believe it or not, we've been chatting for a while.
Wow. Time flies when you're having fun.
It's 2020, almost 2020.
Yep.
What's your crystal ball? What do you see? What's your focus for the new year? What are you seeing? Trends, marketing, growth, all those fun things.
Couple things I would say that I'm pretty interested in. So one is, especially relevant down here, ag tech and food tech are getting a ton of attention. They're not getting the attention they deserve in the middle of Ontario. So I would say from KW East, they're not paying attention to it quite yet, or at least not as much as I think they will. But if you look on into the US, you look on a more global scale, there is money out there in venture. There is a whole bunch of interest. There's a bunch of companies emerging. And to me, that's really exciting. It's finally time to talk about something every single person on the planet actually really needs. And it's not Facebook, right? Because, I know, but we all eat every day. So why don't we apply some of the principles of technology to something we all do 3 times or should all do 3 times a day? So that's super exciting to me. Another thing that I'm finding, which kind of is a corollary to that, is that personalization of marketing. So really continuing to be able to dig deeper into what our customers want and what they care about and personalize more and more so we can deliver what they actually want. The flip side of that is I'm also seeing privacy and security both disappearing faster and faster and faster, and that scares the hell out of me. So I imagine you probably found it. I do have quite an interest in privacy and seeing what's happening from a marketing point of view, what's happening from a usage point of view. We need to do some stuff to fix that. We really, really do.
Especially as more hacks come across and things like that. It's very important. So,
absolutely.
I feel like we should arrange an ag tour around here. And
I would love that.
Some of the greenhouses
that'd be
and some
awesome.
of the places.
I would really love that.
The tech in this area has just blown me away over the past year, seeing what they're doing, what they're planning on doing. It's awesome.
I would love that. So next time I'm here, let's plan that.
Okay, we'll arrange that. Do you want to give a shout out to any websites, anything you want to promote? Think about it. I'll say investck.ca is our website.
So if you are trying to learn about marketing, which a lot of the companies I'm working with are, there are some great resources. I'll send you a few for your podcast notes, but HubSpot, for example, has some really great content around CRM and around inbound marketing, which are really helpful. Hootsuite has some great content around social media and kind of getting yourself going on there. Those are 2 things that are often hard in the early stages, and all their content's free. HubSpot actually has an inbound marketing certification you can take. So if you're trying to scale a business, especially a SaaS business, where you can't spend a whole lot of money on marketing, inbound content creation using Hootsuite and HubSpot tools, definitely a great way to get going.
Good to know.
Yeah,
okay,
and free.
And what about yourself? So I'm going to put your email address in.
Yep.
Do you have a website that you want to promote?
I don't actually. No. No,
Okay.
I know. Just my LinkedIn.
Just LinkedIn?
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. Quick reminder, it is Shop CK thing. We have I should have brought you a Christmas tree. I'll bring it on. It's a shop. We're doing a little hashtag Shop CK thing.
Oh, cool. Well, I'll make sure when you share the podcast out that I can put it in there.
Yeah. Okay. So trying to help all the hidden gems around the area. Because as you know, it's these little small businesses that are doing some awesome things.
Yeah.
But people don't always know about them. So
well, and that's the biggest challenge for any small business, right? Is getting themselves found and getting themselves heard.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Anything else you want to add?
I think that's it. Thank you. And thank you for making this happen. It's awesome.
Hey, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
All right. As Anthony would say, stay classy, Chatham-Kent. And this was the last podcast of the year. So thank you so much for everyone who's watching. Have a good day.
Happy holidays.